In this video, we are going to learn how to calculate the percent when we're given a part and a whole. Let's start out by reading the problem. It says, last night, the two dinner specials at Diego's favorite restaurant were salmon fillet and steak. The restaurant served 48 specials in all, 36 of which were the salmon fillet. What percentage of the specials were salmon fillets? So one of the key things here is recognizing what type of problem this is. First, we notice that it asks what percentage. So that should trigger automatically that we have a ratio relationship or a proportion relationship having to do with percents. And so what we're going to do, there's two ways to do that. We can set it up as a proportion, or we can set it up as a percent. And that percent is an equation. So this equation method we'll start out with, we don't know the percent, so I'm going to go ahead and write into that section a box. Later on in the class, we'll use a variable instead of a box, but for now, we'll use a box. We know that the whole was right here. It says 48 specials in all, so that's going to be 48. And then we know that the part is going to be 36, which were salmon. So this is going to be 36. So now I have a percent times some number is equal to 36. And that's actually going to be the decimal version. So once we're here, this is a multiplication problem, and we have a missing factor. Well, to reverse that and find what we have, we're going to take 36 divided by 48. Now remember what your elementary school teacher said, that the bigger number comes first. That's a lie. That does not work anymore. So 36 comes first because that's what our product is. So if I divide those, I'm going to end up with a decimal answer. And you can use a calculator, but you should end up with 0.75. And then if we multiply that times 100, because it's percent, we end up with 100. We end up with 75%. And that's what our answer is. If I do the ratio method, I have my 100 that I fill in. I know that the part is 36 and that the whole is 48. Now, there's no clear relationship between 48 and 100 or 36 and 48. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to divide this, and you end up with 0.75. And then when you multiply, since my arrows are going in different directions, I'm going to multiply by that same answer, 0.75, and I get 75 as my fraction. So this fraction here turns into 75%. On the next problem, we're told to celebrate the first day of school, Debbie brought in a tray of caramel brownies and walnut brownies. She brought 44 brownies in all. 33 of the brownies were caramel. What percentage of the brownies were caramel? So we're going to do the same thing here. And I need to change that 100. That should be a part. We go across, and we don't know what the percent is, so we're going to use a variable, or in this case, since we haven't learned variables, we're going to use a box. We know that the whole is 44 brownies in all, and that's equal to the part, which is 33. So we have a multiplication problem, but we're missing a factor. Those two pieces of the multiplication, 44 in the box, are factors. And so to reverse that, go backwards, we divide, and we take 33 divided by 44, and we get 0.75. Interesting that it's the same as the last problem. And then we're going to take, to find our percent, because that's the decimal version, we take 0.75 times 100, and that should give us 75%. Now, if we do the ratio method, we're going to do a similar thing. We have 100 because it's talking about percentages. We know that our part is 33 and our whole is 44. So again, there's no clear relationship going up or going across. So we're just going to divide 33 divided by 44, which is going to give me the decimal of 0.75. And then I'm going to draw my arrow in the opposite direction. And so I do the opposite thing. I'm going to multiply times 0.75, and I end up with 75. So this fraction turns into 75%. In the last problem we read, yesterday there were 96 problems assigned for math homework. Adele got 25 out of 96 problems correct. What percentage did Adele get correct? So we're going to do the same thing. We don't know the percent because it asks me what percentage did Adele get correct. So I'm going to put a box for that. That is called a variable. We'll use variables, which is a letter later. Right now we're just using a box because it's not known. And then we know the whole. It says Adele got 24 out of 96. So 96 is my whole. And that's going to be equal to my part, which is 24, which is a pretty low score. This is how you calculate your grades. On the other side, let's go ahead and do the percentage. We would have this set up as 100. We don't know what the percentage is. We do know that the part is 24 and the whole is 96. And so now this on the side that has the equation, we're still going to do the same thing. We're missing a factor. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide it backwards to find the missing factor. So 24 divided by 96 is going to be equal to, and when you divide that, the answer that you're going to get on a calculator is 0.25, 0.25. After we get that, we need to multiply by 100 to get our percent because that's a decimal. So I take 0.25 times 100, and I end up with 25%. If I jump over to this section, I'm looking at my ratio, same thing. There's no clear relationship, but if I divide this and I take 96 divided by 24, I'm going to end up with 4 as my answer. So this is 4 and I divided. So I'm going to go up here, since my arrows are going the same way, I'm going to divide by 4, and 100 divided by 4 is going to be 25. And so that's the answer that I'm going to get, and that's my final answer, which now needs to be turned into a percentage, and this fraction turns into 25% when you translate it into percent language. In this video, you learned how to calculate the percentage given a part and a whole in a word problem.